Hello and welcome to the video. This is a quick EdgeTX mixing tip for this gentleman here. Now he's asking about, can you make it so that when you have two switches in one position, it arms it and then either of those switches can disarm it. Now I quite like things like this. It makes it harder to arm things accidentally, but it makes it very easy to disarm them in the event of a problem. Now you could reverse this of course and have it the other way around, but I like it that where it's harder to arm the model but easier to disarm. I get lots of questions from people saying, can you make it harder to disarm? Personally, I would move it onto another switch out the way of the other controls. If your disarm switch is by the side of other switches that you're going to be using to fly, there is a chance you're going to catch that and disarm the model. So let me show you how I've got this set up. I've got it set so that these two switches at the top, when they're both in the down position, will arm the model. And then either of them being flicked into the up position will disarm.
Disarmed.
And again. So let me show you how I'm doing this. Let me zoom in a little bit and show you the logic. Again, this is using the fab special functions and logical switches. So let's zoom in and have a closer look. So to get into the things we need to do, let's click on the top bar. This is EdgeTX 2.8. Let's go into the model settings, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the logical switches. Now I have a few of these set up. The first one is to detect when the switches are both in the same position, when switches 1 and 2 are in this. Now the nice thing about some of the logic that's in the radio is it's kind of almost English, because we want this logical switch to be active when this switch and that switch are on at the same time. So if I put both those switches into the position, so I've just chosen SB and SC, when they're both in that same position, it's going to be active, and that's what we're using to set the arming. Similarly, I want either switch, either SB in the back position or SC in the back position, to disarm it.
Disarmed.
And then I can tell using logical switches 1 and 2 whether or not my switches are in a position where it should be disarmed, or whether both switches are together and it should be armed.
Disarmed.
So logical switches 1 and 2 are doing the sensing for me. Now you can get into trouble with these kind of things, and I've tried several ways to do it, but this is the way that's most reliable. Now what you can see here is that although logical switch 1 comes on when both switches are in the position where they're both down, as soon as I move one of the switches away, then unfortunately it's not armed and it's not disarmed, and because we're talking about arming, we can't afford to have that situation.
Disarmed.
So what I've done is I've created a third logical switch. Let's edit this one here. This third logical switch is set to sticky, and that means that it's going to hold the position of logical switch 1 while logical switch 2 is not activated. So basically this will hold the armed conditions while disarm switch is not on. And that's a slightly weird way of doing it. That's what the exclamation means. Just a quick tip while we're looking at this. If you ever want to select the exclamation mark, which means the not, if you just press and hold the control that you're interested in, then it will get rid of it. So let me just press and hold it again. There we go. We got it back. So now the way it works is that by putting the two switches that I've identified in the position for logical switch 1, we're going to arm the model. And that is going to be latched or be stickied onto logical switch 03. And that will only happen so long as logical switch 2 is not active. As soon as I put any of the switches into the back position, which is the OR, then that's going to turn off logical switch 3.
Disarmed.
Okay, with me so far? The next thing I've done then is over here within the special functions. Now all I've done is I've got logical switch 1 to say armed and to play a track. The track is armed, surprise, surprise. And then what logical switch 1 is going to do is override a specific channel. Let's edit that. So when logical switch 1 turns on, and again, logical switches are just like physical switches on the radio, so this could be a physical switch. It's going to override channel 5, which is the channel I've decided is going to be arming, and it's going to set the value as 100. Whenever you're setting these up, make sure you have it enabled. And what that means is if we just come all the way out of this, and we come into here and we get the channel mixer, you can see at the moment that channel 5 is in a unarmed position until we arm it.
Armed.
And there we go, it's now armed. Until we disarm,
Disarmed.
it's going to change. So let me show you that final thing that I've done. We go back into the model settings, come out here, go into model settings, go into the mixer. I've set up channel 5 slightly weirdly. So I've called it ARM, always a good idea to give your channels a name. I've set the source to max. So that's just an arbitrary number that is not related to the values of a global variable or a channel or a switch or anything else. It just says I'm going to actually set the value within here. The weight is minus 100, which means by default the switch is always going to be at the lowest value. You can see that there at the top. So here, looking in the channel monitor, you can see all the normal channels that are moving around, and we can see at the moment that channel 5 is in the minimum position until we put those 2 switches to armed, and then the logical switch and the special function is going to push it high.
Armed.
Until I move any of those switches to the rearward position.
Disarmed.
And now it's disarmed. And that is the way that I've set it up. There are lots of different ways that you can do this. If you have another idea or a suggestion, please pop it down below. Or if you have something that you'd like me to help explain on the radio, please pop it in the comments and I'll do my best to either point you to an existing video, or if it's something I've not done a video on yet, make one to answer it for you. Thank you for watching the video. If you watch my videos and find them useful, then please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel a lot. If you really like what I'm doing here, you can become a Patreon and support the time I spend helping others and get access to lots of exclusive benefits. Link is in the video description. Remember that all the videos on the channel are organized into playlists, so you can easily use those playlists to find all the videos on a subject that you are interested in. Add Painless 360 to your searches on Google and YouTube, and it'll help you find my content for any particular topic. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy flying.